This is an introduction to glass painting film, which is this stuff here. Difficult to see because it is clear and it's a bit like a piece of acetate. This is a clear self-adhesive film with a clear backing, and what makes it so good for glass painting is it means you can work flat. All the best glass painting is done flat, and then move it. You can move it onto a mirror, a vase, into a window, and it's adhesive. The adhesive is permanent. You will be able to get rid of it if you're fed up of it after a couple of years, but you will need to attack it with a hot hairdryer and clean up afterwards with a bit of white spirit or something. So you'll notice right away I've put a tag, paper tag, in this corner of the film. It's really important, and I can't stress this enough, to work out which is the backing sheet, which is this bit here, and which is the film, which is the top bit as I have it now. It's adhesive behind. Right, so I separate it, put this little tag in, so I make sure I'm working on the correct side on the film. If you don't, you then do your whole piece and find out you've worked on the backing sheet, you're not going to be happy. The film can be a little difficult to separate, so a little trick is to get a couple of pieces of sellotape, put one underneath there, put the other on top, keeping it separate obviously. He says, pull them apart and hopefully the film will come apart at the same time, which it hasn't for me, and this time it has. So you can see that's pulled the film apart, and again, not that I need another one. If I was doing it for the first time, put my tag in there, take the sellotape back off again, and it's very clear to me now which is the backing sheet and which is the film. So I'm going to work on the film on the correct side, and so what makes the film so good is you can just put your design underneath like you would with a piece of glass. I tend to use a bit of blue tack to hold that down, and once I've done that I can outline it in the normal way. I'm not going to outline now. If you haven't outlined before, we've got plenty of videos about outlining on the glass painting website. So hold that down, and that would be ready for outlining. Okay, once I've finished outlining, and here's my example, I've outlined two pieces here, and I'm going to take it off the design. Now I've got a clear board here. I like using a clear board because as I'm painting I can just lift it up and see that I've got every bit covered. I will show you that in a second. And this time I'm going to tape it down. I want it absolutely flat, so I shall tape the film down onto the board, trying to make sure it's flat as I go along. I'll make these two designs available on the site. These are actually headed for bathroom tiles. The film will stick to any non-porous surface, so in addition to doing windows and glass vases, etc., it's really good for things like tiles, preferably white ones. So there we are. We have the piece stuck down. And as I was saying, we're working flat. We can use the flood fill techniques. So I've got my colours here, and I'm going to do the water down here. Good thing about the flood fill technique, you can blend your colours down on the piece. So we're going to use plenty of colour. I'm going to put some nice white tips to these waves. Come down a bit more. Don't worry, I shan't make you watch every little bit of this. Nice white tips to the waves there. Then I'm going to use my other colours. Let me just clean that. You don't have to use a solid paintbrush, but I find it easier for cleaning my brushes in between colours. This is all Pebeo glass paints. This one's in a different tub because I've actually already added some clear to it to lighten it. This is the dark blue. And then we're going to use the turquoise, sort of bluey green. Don't worry about getting the odd little bit outside. You can see a bit there, because obviously we're going to cut our piece out when we finished it. But try not to do it too much, it just wastes paint. And finally, I'm going to drop a bit more clear in there. Gives a rather nice effect. Obviously I'm just dropping it in there at the moment. I don't want to touch the paint and contaminate one colour with another. And now it's done. I can finally just tease the paint, make sure it goes up to the line. Make sure that clear mixes in and isn't in just big pools. I don't like having that bit of clear at the top there, so get some colour up there. There we go. And that should dry to a really nice effect. So, whilst that other one's drying, here's one I did earlier. Tulips, as you can see, again, all Pebeo paints on this piece. Let me take it off. And we're ready for cutting out. Now, one of the things I like to do is make a tab which I keep on, and this will enable me to hold the piece carefully, and it will also enable me to do that trick with the sellotape when I put the piece wherever it's going. I think this is possibly going onto a mirror. So I keep the tab on, use it to separate, put it all on, and then take this, cut this bit off right at the end after I've added it to wherever I want it to go. So we'll try and cut right up to the line. If you happen to shave a small fraction of the outliner off, don't worry. And in fact, there's a teeny little bit there which I don't want, so I'll make sure I do cut that off. Just being careful at the moment because I want to keep my tab. You go in there a little bit more. And across a bit more. So I don't know whether you can see that, but I've got a tab left at the end there, and that will come in useful. So I shall carry on and cut this whole design out. You needn't watch that. I mostly use scissors, I will just say, but occasionally I do resort to my craft knife, and this does cut it fine. I'm not going to bother cutting out these middle sections, they may as well stay. The film's clear, it won't make any difference. So finally we have to put our finished item onto something. I've chosen this vase just because it's easiest to show you. Normally I wouldn't put a flower design on a vase, it seems a bit daft, but there we go. I was going to put it there, but then I thought I'd show you the flexibility and put it on the corner there and wrap it round. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, so I'm going to put it on the corner there and wrap it round. It's only possible because these paints, it's the Pebeo paints, are nice and flexible. If I tried this with the old solvent based paints, the cellulose based paints, they would have cracked because they come quite hard, but this is a nice flexible paint, so I should be able to do this. A couple of important things: you start one place and press it down really hard, making sure you get no air bubbles in. Secondly, normally I wouldn't even take the backing off this edge till later, but with this it won't matter so much because it's going to stay off the glass until I'm ready to press it down. But normally I would peel my backing off from where I'm going to start pressing and take it back slowly. The other thing is I've cut the tab off of this. I did it on purpose, basically because so I could show you that the sellotape trick is still possible even if you haven't got a tab. So just stick your sellotape on the back, lift it. I don't know if you can see, it's probably going out of focus, but the backing paper has come off. That's where I want it off, on that side. The other thing I've got is a soft cloth. I've got a bit of kitchen towel, and that's what I'm going to use to press it, not my finger. So I want to make sure I get this in the correct place, which is about there. And I'm going to use my soft cloth, and so you want to press it and make sure you're not getting any air bubbles in it. And then as I come up, I'll be taking the backing sheet off. I say it doesn't matter that it's coming off this side as well, because that's not going to stick yet. And just press it down firmly as you remove the backing sheet. There we go, that should be that side done. Just double check. Now obviously I'm just going to move along with the curve, pressing down firmly as I go to get rid of any possible air bubbles. If you only make a little mistake, you should get a chance to just very carefully lift it off again. But normally, once it's down, you want to leave it alone. I will check that again in about 15 minutes and just make sure everything stayed down. It won't actually harden onto the glass totally until 2 or 3 days have gone by. So just checking that everything is down as it should be. I think that looks rather nice. Obviously this is quite flat. It's not totally flat, which is one reason for not painting on it. It's got a bit of a curve to it. But other objects are more curved. Here's a glass bowl. This is a separate project, so I'll let you see that in a different video. But just to let you know, you've got to be realistic about how you can curve the film. These all curve because they're all separate pieces of film. One big piece wouldn't lie properly on a curved surface like this. So break your piece up. Even if you're doing a flat window, it's better to do it jigsaw fashion and break it up. But again, it's important. There was a gap. I did see a gap. There we go. If I put that there. It's important when you're doing something like this that you start one end, push to lie it down, but also make sure it just follows the curvature of the item. What you won't be able to do is, once this bit is stuck down, you won't be able to change where that's going without creasing it. It's going to be a natural path for it to lie down like that. So it's very important when you're doing something like this to get the first bit correct and in the correct place. Let me just see if I can show you that. Another bit of sellotape. I'll take the backing film off. Use the sellotape trick. Lift it up again. Make sure you can see that. So make sure I press that down hard with my soft cloth, and then I'm going to peel the backing away, and as I do that, make sure it sticks down, but just letting it follow the curvature of the bowl. I'm not trying to move this tail anywhere it doesn't want to go. So there we go, and again I will come back to that in about 15 minutes and just ensure that everything is laying down as it should be. Okay, so those are our two items we've done today. Obviously there's lots of uses for this film, and I'll try and show you a couple more. Now you've already seen the vase and the bowl, but the film can also be used on mirror, on tile, and of course in windows. If you're using it in windows, we suggest you do this jigsaw fashion, building your picture up so you're not trying to use a piece of film which is too large. Okay, happy crafting.